Come back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Christmas is over, New Year's is over. That means you've got new stuff in your home. Protected. Nobody provides better security systems in East Tennessee, offers better contracts right here, or gives you better maintenance and upkeep than Safety Systems. Call VFL JJ Surlis. Go local. Go Safety Systems. They'll beat any contract out there, I guarantee you. All right. Once again, the college football playoffs provided us with nary an interesting semifinal game. They're never interesting. It's always blowouts. This time you had the surprise in who blew out who, but that was about it. These are never good games. And you still wind up with basically a three-team race in college football every year. Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. If I gave you guys those three schools and I took the field, you would feel pretty good about your chances of winning a national championship if winning the bet if I gave you those three.
I would check with Chuck
first. Yeah, and he would say take it.
Oh, yeah.
But do you think that's bad for college football? That's part of the conversation now. People say, this is bad for the sport. It's just these three. Is it that you've got three such powerhouses?
It's terrible. You're turning college football from a national sport into a regional sport. Ohio exception. It's a southern sport now. If you're a Pac-12 fan, why do you care about the Pac-12 championship game? You don't.
Judging by their attendance, even in non-COVID years, they don't.
And it's and then if you're in the Northeast, why do you care? You don't. You have to sort of expand the sport. It's becoming, obviously people here and in this region care, but if you want the sport to become bigger and grow, I don't know how you change it. I don't know what the path is. If it's me, I've gone from being don't expand the playoff guy to being a begrudging 8's probably necessary because you get the G5s in there, you get a Pac-12 champion there, you guarantee all the power conferences plus the wild card races.
But they all get blown out by Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State.
Well, it's not about who's going to win, but it's like if you don't have a chance to win, why do you care? If you're not going to get to play on the biggest stage, you don't have if you expand the playoff, you have more games that matter and more people that are keeping an eye on everything going on. It's not about changing the champion.
Is it bad for college football?
I don't think so. But here's my caveat to that. If it's bad for college football if the ratings dip 50% every year, so it would be bad from that. If the ratings are still really good, if you're still raking in the money, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it was necessarily bad for the NFL when the Steelers were dominant. The Patriots, with their domination, was that bad for the NFL?
It's been awful. It's terrible.
I know you hated it.
Last 20 years were bad.
Good, bad example. But I don't think it. When UCLA was dominant, I watched to see who could beat them. So, but now, to David's point, if the viewership's down, if the money's down and all that, then it's bad for college football. It depends on what your criteria is. But to me, I don't think it is down, so I don't think it is bad.
Josh?
Well, I think it's going to help amp up the crazy with some of the big programs that should be competing or think they should be competing.
Like Texas.
Like Texas, like Tennessee, like Michigan. You can have Texas firing Tom Herman, and it creates all this hysteria. You can have an extension for Jim Harbaugh, and it might create some hysteria. But, the Pac-12 feels irrelevant in so many ways, including the people who live on the West Coast and certainly people on the East Coast. And those schools you mentioned pull up the recruiting rankings. The teams that are in the top 5 in the rankings in college football polls, top 5 in the recruiting rankings. It's not changing anytime soon.
Big 12's in danger of getting left out, too. To me, Big 12, Pac-12 should be partnering in some way, shape, or fashion at this point. The interesting thing, though, talking about expanding the playoffs, and you were clear in that you don't think it's going to change who wins it, but I've heard that. Well, to break this up so it's not the same teams, expand the playoffs. At the FCS level, they now have a 24-team playoff. It is 24 teams at the FCS level. North Dakota State has won 8 of the last 9 titles. So the idea that just letting more teams in, you're just going to see more blowouts, I think, if you do it. Now, maybe that's good for television. Maybe it's like all the wild cards in baseball that I don't like, but it keeps teams interesting. Hey, we're a game over 500. We can make the postseason. Maybe that's the trick. But in terms of breaking up the 3 dynasties, I don't see how you do it. I mean,
the gap
one of them retires.
The gap in recruiting, the drop off when you get off past that top 4, that is growing. The haves and have-nots. It's not great when all those 3 teams that we talk, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, they're playing 2-3 games a year that they can lose, and the rest of them is just wipeout. That's not good for the sport.
And Ohio State fewer than that this year.
Yeah.
Jimmy, I'll let you close.
Just that if you were looking for closer games, maybe the 4 seed and the 5 seed, maybe the 3 versus 6, maybe 2 versus 7, maybe. But for the most part, you're going to continue to have blowouts, but you might have some closer games when you seed 4 and 5 and 3 and 6.
Yeah. Or, give the top 4 seeds a bye, to where you at least have some. You would think you'd have some good games to play them, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They would have some good games to get to those top 4. All right.
Give the group of 5 a path.
Get them in there. If Pruitt remains the coach at Tennessee, what is the one piece of advice we would give him that he has to take? Come on back.